Welcome to Edge of the Rabbit Hole, where tonight we are answering all your questions about the paranormal and the supernatural. Coming up next. Welcome everybody to Edge of the Rabbit Hole, discussing all of your questions about the paranormal and the supernatural. I'm your host, author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. With me as always is Vanessa Hogle, my co-host. And joining us tonight is our chat Shananigator, Shana, who also is there with me on Inside the Upside Down, which is our after hours Edge of the Rabbit Hole show. We call it Inside the Upside Down, which we are actually not doing tonight. We're doing something a little bit different, a little bit special. For those that caught the earlier Eric Altman invitations in that show, he's dealing with some illnesses and things like that. So we're postponing that one until March. So what we thought we would do for this show is just basically combine the two shows, because we just hit the 10,000 subscriber mark here on the Haunted Road Media channel. And so we thought we would celebrate that. We're going to announce the giveaway and the rules and the parameters and what you guys are going to get out of that for 10,000 subscribers. But Vanessa, Shana, I'm really happy about this. You know, it's been a long time coming. It's been a lot of work. We have the fantastic support, the Mad Hatters down there. We've got the Chat Shananigator here. We've got the Cheshire Cats. We've got the Patreon patrons. So many people that have been out there helping us, and it's just been an amazing ride. And I can't say enough about everybody. And go ahead and all of you out there, all of you crazy Mad Hatters, go ahead and put your questions down there in the chat. Don Gorton's down there fielding those for us tonight, since we have our Chat Shenanigator here. But yeah, I'm really happy about this, guys.
It's amazing. It's fucking amazing. And I'm gonna toot our horns for a moment, because y'all know that I will, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat shit. What makes me the proudest is that this really came from just an idea. I mean, it really did. And every single follower and subscriber is an actual person. Not one of them bought. It's Mike's hard work, Shauna's hard work, my hard work, my F-bombs, Mike's research, Shauna's wit. Every last bit of it is hard work. And I'm proud of us, because I think we fucking earned it.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a lot of hard work. It has not happened overnight. And some people buy it. That does happen. Some people a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They can only get so far with that, fortunately. But some people just get lucky. I know people that just started their channel a year ago and suddenly have almost 50,000 subscribers, which, okay, that's great, that's awesome, very happy for you. But for the most part, most people have to really get down there in the trenches and work at it, and affirm that it is a passion for you. And that's what we've done here at Haunted Road Media. It's been a passion for me, you, Vanessa, Shana, our viewers, the Mad Hatters. It's a passion for them to keep coming back and watching all this. And I just got word that Carrie Parrish is back with us tonight.
Yay!
That is awesome. So returning after the transplants that he had months ago. I know he's been trying to build his health back up. So that's a testament right there. Dedication and coming back even after having gone through such a trauma. So we're very happy that he's back with us, and everybody else is down there.
Absolutely. It's the interactiveness, I think, that really did it. We did well when we were on a podcast type situation, with like the radio type situation.
Yeah.
But it's the one-on-one interaction with the viewers and the listeners, and they can ask whatever they want, and they know we're not going to fuck around. We're going to shoot straight from the hip. They just know. And I think that's where the respect comes from. And that's where we give it too.
Yep.
We respect their questions.
Oh, absolutely.
They're inquisitive and thoughtful and educated. Bless them.
Yeah, we end up with a lot of great thought-provoking questions on this show, and that has been a real treat to actually get to answer. Some of them we're kind of like, oh my gosh, that's a really good question. How do we answer that? So they've really put our minds to work too. We have a $10 super chat down there from Dustin Samario. Thank you very much, Dustin. Absolutely appreciate that. Yeah, Tammy Heitzman down there saying, I love this group of Mad Hatters so much. Sharon Lane was making some, what'd she say? Honorary Media is amazing because of your hard work. And we do. We work really hard. And we do it because we want to present to you the best quality show possible. And, it's not just us sitting up here talking and saying, well, we're so smart, we're going to give you that. I mean, it's back and forth, it's it's back and forth. I mean, there's people out there that watch and know more about certain areas than I do or Shana or you. And it's a back and forth conversation is what it is. We're all learning together.
Absolutely. And we have a new person to the show, Robert Hanna. And he just said, Robert Hanna, new to the show. Robert, this is a show, paranormal question and answer session, because our guest is ill and has to come on at a later date. So this is your time. Anything you want to know, anything you want validated, or any questions you have, toss them out there. Nothing is taboo. Yep. Nothing's taboo in regards to the paranormal.
Yeah, anything paranormal, supernatural, you could ask about. You could ask about cryptids, fairies, shadow people. You could ask questions about equipment, experiences we've had, whatever you fancy.
Hair care.
So,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
While Donna's going to gather up those questions for us, let's get into what the giveaway is. 10,000 subscribers, and we usually give away a little bit of something. A little bit of rock and roll, right?
Right.
So I got a lot of things going. So it's going to be your choice. There's some things you get choices of, and some things that we're just going to give straight to you. So your choice of Haunted Road Media shirts, since we have several of them. Your choice of Haunted Road Media hats, and I'm going to try damn hard to get that beanie done by next week so that the beanie's available too.
Yay.
So your choice of hat or beanie, and one of the 3 styles of hats that we have. Your choice of Haunted Road Media book, and we've got probably almost 20 of them out there now. So your choice of Haunted Road Media book. You get a ghosty. There's a ghosty. And you get the coffee, Haunted Road Roast. It helps you hunt ghosts.
There you go.
So you get like one of everything, really. So
that's freaking awesome.
Yep.
I didn't even know he was going to do that, y'all.
Yeah, I threw that out there because we did a little live thing this past Saturday, like right after we hit the 10,000. We hit that on January 31st, last day of January. And so we did a little live thing on Saturday. And so for those that were there on, that was a Facebook Live, kind of already know this. They put in their I want to be entered. Let me go over the shirts real quick. Of course, this is the Haunted Road Media shirt. You can get T-shirt. So we're not doing the hoodie. The hoodies are really expensive, so I can't do the hoodie. I'm already doing a lot here. But yeah, so there's the Inside the Upside Down T-shirt. There's the Edge of the Rabbit Hole, so the shirt for this show. Of course, the Inside the Upside Down is the After Hours show. And then there's the I'm Just Here for the Coffee shirt, and I forgot to grab your I'm Into Witchy Shit shirt. So the I'm Into Witchy Shit shirt is also available. So yeah, so a lot of choices here. A lot of choices. So
hey, we have a question real quick.
Okay.
I don't want it to get too far before we answer it. I believe it was Betty and Wayne asked, and I actually think this is a really interesting question. It's not one I would have thought of. What is your favorite, or what do you consider the best flashlight to investigate with? What's the most durable? What stays lit the longest?
Okay, that's a great question. We'll get to that in just a second here. Because I need to say how you enter for those that are new, like Robert.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You're good. You're good. So you can't do it here on YouTube because of the way YouTube's terms and conditions are. In order to enter, you have to go to any of our other social media. So that could be the Twitter account. You can go right to the webpage, haunterroadmedia.com, and hit the contact, the email there. You could go to our Facebook page, the Haunted Road Media Facebook page. You could contact me directly, Mike Ricksecker, or Shana, or even Vanessa, and say, hey, I want to be entered. So any of the social media, did I already say Twitter? I think so. Any of those, even Instagram, if you want to hit me up on Instagram, just say, hey, I want to be entered, and we'll go ahead and put your name in there. Please be a subscriber. and that'll do it. And then we'll draw the names out of the hat next week. So that'll do it.
Coolio.
All right. So first question of the night, best flashlight. That's interesting. I know the one that I recently purchased that I have been trying to use on an investigation thing is going to be brighter, because I don't like to take flash photography during investigations. What I ended up deducing from that, and I've talked about it with some of my shadow people experiences, where I'm seeing something, witnessing something with my eyes, and all of a sudden I hit it with a flash, and it's gone, it's obliterated. So it kind of doesn't make sense to change the lighting of the room to do that. So I stopped using flash photography. But I also wanted to be able to have enough light available so I could take video or take photos or what have you. So I don't know, it was maybe back during the summer, maybe in the spring, that I bought a 300 lumen LED flashlight, and it is bright. The problem with it is there's two problems with that, in that the batteries die. Actually, three problems. The batteries die out quick is one.
Okay.
The second is that the light, because it's a single light inside, it's very, very focused in the middle. So you have this really bright light right in the middle, and then you have this other like halo effect around it, and then everything else is dark. So it's really awkward to try to take video or photos with that. It just looks very strange. The third problem is that there's no getting dim. It is bright, 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 bright until the batteries go out, and then boom, it's off. So if you don't have a backup flashlight with you and you're out in the middle of an abandoned building somewhere, you're kind of screwed.
Now, let me ask you, because I've never thought about this before, because I'm generally with the people that have the equipment. I don't own shit, okay? But to me, it stands to reason that maybe the best light to take would be, Sean, you know what I'm talking about? One of those big old fat flashlights that have the big square on the end, or even one of those pop-up lanterns. Because if all you're wanting to do is light the area that you're in softly without causing any type of interference with photography or anything like that, I think that would be the best choice, because it isn't about seeing in the distance, it's about being able to see where you are. What do you think?
I agree with that.
There you go.
I think I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, there's the one I like to use is my little older LED one. It's got about like 12 little bulbs in it, and it's not as harsh as that. The other one that I would show you is up here, that I've kind of been using. It's kind of like what what you were just talking about, where it's rectangular like that, and it's got,
yes,
I think it's got like it's got like 80 little LED bulbs in it. We did an equipment video on the channel a few months back. And there's a $5 super chat from Rolf from Mueller. Vielen Dank, Rolf. Absolutely appreciate that. Thank you. Danke. Yeah, so I would take it down, but it's actually giving us our backlight right now, and it's actually very, very cool, because it can mount to a tripod. Right now I have it on like a little mini bendable tripod up there, and it's kind of hanging right now. It's also dimmable, so I can change the setting on it, so you can modify how bright it actually is, and it works out pretty well. I've been taking on a lot of investigations lately, so.
That would be cool. There's Sharon asked if, I believe it was Sharon asked if anyone uses pendulums anymore. I wanted to address that for just a moment. I do, as they stated in there. The other thing is, I Love pendulums. I make pendulums. I sell pendulums. If you want one, you can buy one from me. But in all honesty, a necklace, anything you have, you could tie a rock to a string. And if you're trying to communicate with spirit, you know, or use divination in that way, it doesn't matter what it is. Intention is all that matters. So whatever is handy for you, go for it.
Well, the question was directed toward you. Do you use pendulums anymore?
No.
Why not?
You don't? Oh, I didn't see that it was directed towards Shana. I'm sorry. You don't use
I think.
them?
Oh, no. Okay. I guess it wasn't. It says, does anyone use pendulums anymore? I saw Sharon's name and thought it said Shana.
Oh, yeah, no. You don't use them anymore, Shana?
If I'm going through my stones and it gives me a little buzz whenever I'm passing over it, I'll grab it and hold it in my hand. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I don't.
Personal preference.
Pretty much.
Gotcha.
All
Makes
right.
sense.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions down in here, and I know I wouldn't normally do this. I know you see that spinning, but that's irrelevant. Don't worry, it always does that.
It always does that.
It always does that, so don't worry about it.
So nobody's watching like buffering. Stop the buffering.
No, we're all good. See, they're all chatting.
No.
We're good.
Yeah.
So, she worries about that stuff, but
I
it's
hate
cool.
buffering. I hate that with the fire of 1,000 suns. Like if I'm watching and someone's buffering for, I'll give it a minute. If it's not done after a minute, I am off doing other things.
Yep.
Oh,
We'll finish up with the flashlights real quick with Lynn's White, and we got some other questions. So she wants to know how many batteries do we go through? Do they drain a lot? So I think it's almost kind of investigation to investigation. Sometimes they do. Sometimes we don't have that effect.
there's a lot of times. Well, when we were on the boat, my batteries would drain just constantly.
Yeah, and I know that there's always that idea that of the spirits are draining the batteries, and they very likely are because of some very unusual situations. We have brand new batteries, and then all of a sudden they're dead. But a lot of times, what I see during investigations, or either like on YouTube or when I used to watch the shows, they say use my batteries to gain energy, and I really don't think they know how to do that. I think that a lot of that battery drain is it's really accidental. They don't realize they're doing it, because if they knew, hey, I could gain energy like that, I think they would just stick their finger in a light socket and charge up all the time. So
Yeah. Well, we had something really interesting happen. I was remote viewing for NP last, I don't know when it was, maybe 6 months ago or something. And they were filming live, and Dave was filming with his phone, or talking with his phone, or doing something with it. And they had gotten to the location. His phone had 100%. They were there less than 30 minutes. It drops down to like 16%.
Oh, wow.
They decided to go ahead and close out the investigation because they were losing all their batteries. Get into the car, get 20 minutes away, it jumped back up to 70-something%.
Go figure that. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like, it was pulling the energy at the time, but how it could be temporary, I have no idea.
I had that happen at Madison Seminary, where my batteries had drained. I was running a live stream, and so my battery on my phone had drained. So I went downstairs to charge it up, and it barely charged at all. And it was like, what in the world is going on? So, I unplugged it, plugged it back in, and all of a sudden it was like it jumped way up. I was like, okay, maybe it was a malfunction. It jumped into like the 40s or something like that. So I was like, okay, so something weird's going on. So I took it up, it started to do a little bit of something with it. Boom, it was like all the way back down. I was like, what in the world is this? So I was like, fine, I'll go charge it again. And it didn't do anything. It was like going down when I had it charged in or plugged in, and then I unplugged it and it popped back up. It was like, okay, just somebody screwing with the batteries. It was a really, really crazy night with the battery drain on that.
Shit like that makes you wonder.
It does. So, I mean, maybe whoever was in there had kind of figured that out and was screwing around with it. But I think a lot of times on these investigations that they don't know that they're draining the batteries and getting energy like that.
That's a very real possibility. I mean, unless they're new to it, and that's why they don't know. But I mean, the older ones, the ones who have been around a little bit, and let's face it, a lot of these places have investigators coming in and out and in and out, and they learn from us just like we learn from them, on what they can and can't do in order to manifest, for lack of a better word.
Yep, I agree with that. Here's one, Shana, that I think that you'll like to answer. This is from Charla. Do you think the Connect system works? That's the SLS camera.
Yeah, I do. I do. I know there's some out there that don't. I do, though. I mean, I'm not 100%, tech savvy or anything, or know how a lot of the stuff works unless Mike tells me. But just some of the stuff that we've captured.
Well, yeah, like at 217 Terror Haunted House, where you were sitting down. I'd come across the room, and right as I came around to the back there, I'm looking down, and there's something else standing there across the room, and it hadn't picked up on you in the seat there, and I had to have you stand up, and then boom, your figure appeared, and there's still that other figure that's across the room like that. They're spooky. There's Dawn, $10 super chat, says congrats on the 10,000 subscribers. Love you guys. Well, thank you very much, Dawn. Appreciate that, and glad to have you back. So yeah, I mean, the SLS camera has its detractors, but to me it's better than some of these other devices out there because it's picking up on movement. That's what it's looking for, is that movement. And in our investigations, some people try to say, well, you're pointing at an object that may look like a person. It's going to try to pick up on that. And I really haven't had a whole lot of that. If you're moving it by hand, then it's going to try to do something here or there, and it's going to be a little weird. But if you keep it stationary, that's what it's looking for. It's looking for movement. If there's no movement, nothing pops up on the screen. I mean, I've sat there and looked at the thing for a half an hour straight, and nothing's going on. So those that try to say, well, it's going to have all kinds of false positives. No, there's times where there's just nothing showing up in the screen. But then other times where, I mean, we saw it the other week. I know we haven't talked about it yet, and I still need to show you the footage.
No, I've never even seen it.
You haven't seen it, but the up and away off the bed. That was really crazy. So yeah, we do like the SLS camera. Yep. And there's a $10 super chat from Joe Chandler. Thank you, Joe. She says, for you three bringing all of us together, love my HRM family. Well, thank you very much, Joe. Absolutely appreciate that. She's also deep down the rabbit hole Patreon patron. So we appreciate all of our Patreon patrons as well. So thank you very much. And they have there's a Q&A out there as well on Patreon right now. So you guys get those questions in too. So, what is this? So they're saying Vanessa can't hear me? I haven't done anything different. So, Vanessa, you might have to go out and come back in. Okay. Let me grab this question here. So, I think we had that happen with when Andrea Perrin was on, where we kind of lost Vanessa there for a little bit. So, yeah, that looks really weird. But she'll come back, and that'll fill back in. So, we'll have to save that one for Vanessa, because that's specifically for Vanessa. From Robert, are poltergeists associated to demonic entities? It's a demon question, Shana.
Go for it. Because I'm going to say that 99% of everything is not. And... I mean, there's some cases out there where, there's never anything 100%. So there's some cases out there where, yeah, it might be something like that, but there's a lot of misinformation out there. Because anything that moves or makes a sound on TV is demonic nowadays. Just like a human can be angry and show signs of anger, so can a spirit. If I throw something at you because I don't want to look at you right now, that doesn't make me a demon. It just makes me angry. So the same thing applies to a spirit. A spirit can throw something at you just like a human can.
Yep. Ding dong, there she is. Is that better, Vanessa?
That's better.
Okay, very good, very good. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, they could still hear us just fine. That happened the other week with Andrea Perrin, where you suddenly couldn't hear us, and Andrea and I are like, we're here. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was like your mic cord was going in and out.
Yeah, I'm not touching it. It's floating. It's floating. So, but we're answering the question: are poltergeists associated to demonic entities?
I don't think so.
No.
I'm sorry. I answered that one right there.
That's what I did. I was the same way. I was like, just because a spirit is angry doesn't mean it's demonic. Same thing as an angry human. So.
Exactly. Well, and we discussed this, Shana, you and I discussed this on on a previous episode that we had. The spirit doesn't always even have to be angry. Maybe they were deaf. Maybe they were autistic. Maybe they were blind and they're, because people think that once you pass, just from Ghost Whisperer, the show, that all of a sudden every ailment you had is gone. Well, if you've passed over, but you haven't completely passed on, you might still carry some of the traits that you had when you were alive. Just like we said, you live an asshole, you might die an asshole and be an asshole ghost.
It's very true.
Same goes with with certain disabilities and things like that. So if you have things falling, maybe you've got a stumbler.
Could very well be.
Yeah, one who can't walk too good.
Yeah. I like to say that, there are human nefarious malevolent spirits. They're certainly not all demonic. I've had people contact me. Oh, I had this candle go flying off my mantle. I think I have a demon. It's like, let's just step back a little bit, bring it in. A poltergeist is by definition, a poltergeist is not a demon, because poltergeist is just German for noisy ghost. That's it. There is also the PK activity, where you get poltergeist activity, which is not a poltergeist, but it is activity that somebody's able to generate from themselves that acts like a poltergeist, but still it's not demonic. So just by definition, it's not demonic.
And just to be on the safe side, if the TV shows are describing demonic activity to you, don't listen. Because in order to be popular on TV, you have to be infested by demons nowadays.
Yeah, everything's a demon on TV.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
That is not reality at all.
No.
Not even close.
No.
So
9 times out of 10, when you go into a place, you've got somebody that maybe you're the first person that has been able to sense them. Okay, especially if you're going into a new place, or it's a home that's haunted, the family that's there, or you might be the first people that they've ever actually been able to get to notice them. You don't know. It could be decades or even centuries of people that have this frustration built up of somebody wanting to communicate. Yep. That can be quite disturbing. And just because they push something off the shelf, or it seems like they're stomping too hard, maybe they don't have their land legs. Maybe they don't know how much energy it takes to get your attention, so they go overboard.
Yeah, we've even talked about that with scratching, where with scratching that, maybe sometimes they're just trying to tap you on the shoulder and it comes out as, these, nasty scratches. It's a possibility.
Exactly right. Don't assume because you saw it on TV that's how it is. Talk. Above all else, your best paranormal investigative tool is this and this right here.
Yeah, it's your body. It's your body. Your body's your best tool.
Talk to them. Yep. Absolutely. Talk to them. They're people.
Yeah.
No more, no less.
There are people.
And I can guarantee you right now, if I haunt somebody and they're burning a strawberry rhubarb candle, that bitch is going flying. They're nasty.
There you go.
Just saying.
We have a $5 super chat from Andrew Cox. Thank you, Andrew. He says, Mike, please see my big long question in chat. Donna, if you could grab that, please, that would be fantastic. But thank you, Andrew. Absolutely appreciate the super chat. So we'll get to this one in a little while. That's a topic I talk about all the time. So we have a nice long list building up here. So to kind of piggyback on that, we have this question from Shay. How can you tell the difference between poltergeist and an intelligent spirit? So a poltergeist to me, is already an intelligent spirit. It's not necessarily human. At least I don't believe so, but it already has an intelligence. It's not a residual haunting.
It's not an imprint by any stretch.
Right.
Because it's never the same activity consistently at the same time, doing the same thing in the same succession. It just isn't.
Right.
And a lot of it depends on the energy of the person that the activity is going around.
Yeah, if you always had like noisy ghost. If you always had something like screaming at 12:03 a.m., well, that's a residual haunt. It's noisy, yeah, but it's still not a poltergeist. So a poltergeist would be like, something goes flying off the mantle, and then 3 days later, some bills get knocked to the floor. Maybe somebody opened a window and it was the wind or what have you. But you got to look into those things too. Is it rattling chains? Well, they're not usually rattling chains, but it's stuff that might get tossed around, or maybe they are maybe they are vocal or what have you. But yeah, it switches up. It's not always the same thing.
Yeah, what dictates an intelligent haunting is interaction.
Mm-hmm.
The moving of keys, the moving of items, the slamming of doors, when you're in a certain location and it seems to come at you and you get a little bit colder, you're not going to get the cold from residual. You can see and you can get an impression, but in order for it to be cold to come onto you, that means it's pulling from you. Residual will not pull from you. It will be around you, but won't affect you. So that's one of the biggest key factors in knowing what is intelligent and what is not, is how it draws its energy from you and from what's around you. Because residual will not do that.
There you go. Makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me.
All right. From Sandra Griffin, have you heard of something physically keeping someone from leaving their home? So that would be like a spirit of oppression.
Mm-hmm.
You can almost think of it as, and this is where you actually kind of have to start looking at, are there different clinical issues? If somebody's suffering from depression and things like that. I mean, it could be a spirit that is oppressing you, but there could also be, some sort of legit, medical thing going on where somebody's, suffering through depression. But I mean, yeah, that can happen where there is a spirit that is just weighing down on you that makes you just not want to leave home.
Mm-hmm. And Mike, you bring up a really good point, and that's something, not to hold on just one second. Hey, Google, stop. Sorry.
I have Alexa, she has Google, so there you go.
I do. Grayson got me that, my big man.
Nice.
That's something that I think needs to be discussed a little more in the paranormal field. And I'm not saying, I'm the first one to tell people you're not crazy. The first, okay? But not everything is paranormal.
Right.
Just because you have a bad day doesn't mean something made you have a bad day. Just because you're having bad luck doesn't mean something gave you bad luck. Just because things don't seem to be, you know, exactly where you want them to be, or just because you seem sad or whatever, it doesn't mean it's paranormal. So not only do we have to question spirit activity and what's around us in order to get to the bottom of things, we have to be the responsible adults and question ourselves. Where am I at in my life at this time? Am I contributing to this at all? Am I not making something up, but am I sugarcoating for myself and giving a cause for my effect? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I think that that is something that needs to be taken a little bit more seriously in this field. I know the popular thing is to say a ghost did it. Oh, it's fucking demon. No, let's face it. Sometimes I'm just a bitch. Nobody's making me be that. Sometimes I am the sweetest person on earth. No one's making me be that way. Sometimes I throw my own shit. Nobody did it. Okay, we have to take responsibility, and we have to be accountable for our own thoughts, our own actions, and be able to decipher them amidst what is out there that we cannot see, or else we are doing no good for the field.
Come on, Vanessa. You know it's that demon lurking behind you, or that ancient evil that's been following you for all these years, that it's just making you do all this stuff.
You know what's funny? I physically actually have something attached to me. I want to ask y'all both, how many times have I ever blamed him for anything?
Yeah, I mean, I know you do have something that is actually legitimate following you around, but
legitimately following me around.
But how much is that actually just like totally altering your life?
I don't allow it to. Therein lies the difference. I don't allow it to. Can he make life very uncomfortable? Yes, he can. Have I been hurt physically because of it? Yes, I have. Have I let it affect me in any way, shape, form, or fashion, or hold me back? Hell to the fucking no. Because nobody's got that kind of power over me. And that's what we all need to understand as individuals, is if we want to be seen or viewed a certain way or taken seriously, we also have to be accountable. There's one thing that you cannot fuck with in this universe, and that's free will. So if you are being affected by any type of paranormal activity and you allow the effect to continue without holding yourself accountable, can't help you.
Nope. Lynn's White did have a comment back on the poltergeist. Lynn says that her poltergeist activity comes from living people in the environment. And that's where I was talking before about the PK activity, where there is a difference between a poltergeist and poltergeist activity. So a poltergeist is an actual spirit, an actual entity, quote unquote, noisy ghost that is doing things around the house, making a mess, being loud, all this stuff. Poltergeist activity is the acting of that. So poltergeists, of course, because they are poltergeists, perform poltergeist activity, but there are people that can, kind of unbeknownst to them at first, telepathically, or that PK activity or whatever, that can, whatever angst that they're feeling, make that manifest and actually have that poltergeist activity happen within their home. I've been on cases like that before. So that isn't a poltergeist, but that is poltergeist activity. So they're two different things.
It's basically the difference between having a spirit doing something in the house and having somebody's energy manifest as if a spirit was doing it, when in fact they're the ones in control.
Right.
It is spirit or it's telepathy.
Yeah.
Or telekinesis, for lack of a better
telekinesis,
way of
right?
And we throw these words out there, and expect people to believe them, and they should. And I'm going to tell you why. That's because, like what I do, what Shana does, what you've been known to do to a certain degree, Mike, like remote viewing. People think that sounds crazy. They think it sounds unbelievably weird, just like telekinesis or telepathy or whatever. Fact of the matter is, we've talked about it before, but it has been used and studied and funded by the government.
Yep.
Now, you can go online.
Project Stargate.
It will tell you Project Stargate was closed because of lack of solid evidence. But read the fine print. Project Stargate went on for 20 years.
Yep.
20.
Yep. So it had to be working to some degree.
I ask you, if there was absolutely no solid evidence, why did millions of dollars go into a program that lasted 20 years?
Yep.
So yes, this stuff is real. Our emotions, our inner environment and our outer environment can collide and cause some of these PK activities. We, again, have to be accountable, responsible, and aware.
Yep. Absolutely. Vanessa, there was a question for you a while back. I kind of forgot about it, and it happened when you kind of had to slip out for a second. Yeah, bleeped or whatever. From Discord threads, what flavor do you vape?
Oh. Strawberry kiwi, my love.
Strawberry kiwi. All right. Very cool.
I do. Yeah.
Nice.
I got it. It tastes good.
Good. Cool.
Yeah.
It's better than smoking, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Today was a tough day. I could have used one, but I didn't.
Good. So. Good. From Nichelle, did you ever figure out where the phantom bell came from? So this is about our Cheney Mansion investigation that we just posted. So if you haven't seen that yet, go check it out. It's the latest paranormal investigation video that we just posted on Friday. The phantom bell. You could hear that clear as a bell.
Yeah.
Pun intended. Pun intended. Pun intended.
I need to go check that out. I haven't seen it yet. It's been a crazy weekend. So I'm going to go check that out after the show. Yeah,
it was pretty interesting. I mean, we actually first heard that upstairs during, I think it was during the walkthrough. So we kind of split up the video into multiple parts. And so you just have the bit of walkthrough and then the investigation part of the downstairs. But we first heard it when we were upstairs. Like I said, I think on the walkthrough. And then it happened while we were actually down there investigating. And I mean, it was loud.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it could not find a source.
We investigated. There's other bells there, but none of them had either, whether by picking up or manipulating something around them, just whatever it took to make the bell activate at different, pressures or whatever. We tried to debunk it, but none of those bells had the same sound.
You know what's fascinating is bells are used in witchcraft to clear energy. So they're used to basically just, ring the bell or clap your hands or do whatever. It's one of the reasons why storefronts have bells over the doors, not just to let people know when they're coming in. It's an energy cleanse. So that actually makes me very curious if maybe what you had around you wasn't in some fashion maybe trying to protect you from any other type of negative energy that might be around.
Well, I don't know, maybe. B3 Aerospace is saying Doc's Bell. There had been a doctor's office there at one point, so it could have been, a phantom bell off of that, maybe some residual, because it was never, for one, it wasn't consistent. It was acting at weird times. Like I think you said it was, I can't remember, like 8:48 or something like that it went off. So it wasn't like on the half hour or hour or anything like that. It was just random.
Because I had a clock there that would, chime at certain times, and like at the half hour mark there was a sound, but it wasn't the same sound. So
was it ding? Was it?
Yeah, it's just a single ding. Just a single ding.
A single ding.
Yep. And we thought it was one of the bells that was there. He had like this collection of turtles. And so there was a little bell with a turtle on top of it there that we originally thought that was it. Then right after that bell sound went off and ran out there and I rang it. You could tell immediately it was not the same bell. So yeah, it was really strange. I looked all around for another bell. They told us that they'd been experiencing that for a few months and hadn't been able to find the source of the bell. Was it the kind you tap? Was it the kind you tap? You could get a sound like that off of a bell you tap, or just one that you ring. The thing is that if you were to like ring a bell, usually you don't get like one single ring. Yeah. So
that's why I'm thinking it was a tap. It was a tap bell.
Okay.
That's interesting. I'm gonna have to go and watch that.
Yeah, you'll have to watch that.
And then the thing is there was no one around to do it either.
No. No.
Well, and if there wasn't a tap bell there, even if there were 10 people there to do it, if there wasn't a tap bell there, you wouldn't have that sound.
Right.
Right.
So not only could we not identify the bell, but there was also no one in the vicinity is still amongst the living to do it.
Yeah, because the only other people in the house were Carol and her friend, and they were back in the sunroom, which doubled as a break room, and they were watching us on the security cams.
Yeah. So
was this place ever a B&B?
Yeah, you would have called it like a tavern and an inn. So many moons ago, before, because right now it's a Victorian mansion, it's beautiful, but before that it was just a smaller building. It did have 2 floors. The bottom part was a tavern, and then there was a place on the second floor for people to stay the night.
It was a tap bell
because it was on a stagecoach run. So okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is. I have to go and watch it now. Yeah. Up on what would have been their desk to get somebody to come to the front desk. That's why it's not consistent. It would have been when somebody was coming in.
Yeah. Okay. It makes sense. Yeah. So, but there are a lot of, there are a lot of great feedback on that video and different ideas of what the bell could have been. So we're very happy with everybody that contributed to that video and offered suggestions. So
Tom and Dustin, if they're down there, they've been there.
They've been there. I know Dustin's in there because he just had a question. From Beat 3 Airspace, the bell keeps the devil away in folklore, which I think is what Vanessa was just kind of saying. So yeah. So
That's
it
cool.
could be something like that. Yeah. All right, let's get to another question. There's a lot of questions. I'm trying to back up here and find them. From Sharon, are spirits looking for attention with the knocking, etc.? It can be so frustrating. I think sometimes they are. I think sometimes they're just looking for attention. It depends on the intention of the ghost.
Yeah, some of them are trying to be noticed. Some of them want to be noticed. They're like, excuse me, here I am, person that can't hear me or see me, I mean, yeah.
Right.
Well, let's address something real quick. I had to address this with a couple of people over this past week. The 3 knocks.
We've been talking about this lately, so go ahead.
I love y'all. Okay, I do. The 3 knocks are not an insult to the Trinity.
Right.
I'm going to ask every single person in the chat, when you go up to somebody's door, how many times do you knock?
I do it 3 times.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, we've actually been talking about that a number of times lately. I think it's come up like 2 or 3 times here in the last several months, and Inside the Upside Down, when we've talked about demons, or we've talked about, like when we were talking about real paranormal versus the movies, and the example I always bring up is The Conjuring, where it's like the first thing that they mention when they go into the parents' house is Roger sitting there saying we hear this knock, and then Ed is like it was 3 knocks like that, yeah, knock knock knock, well that means it's a demon, it's like, come on, like no, come on, no.
Yeah, the average Joe
knocks 3 times.
And it's you don't even know you're doing it, but it's knock, knock, knock.
Most things that we do in life are 3s. The only time I did not knock in 3s was when I was in the Air Force, and you were required a single knock. That was it.
Well, and I mean, let's face it, I'm the weird one. I'm like, dun, 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 dun. I do that. Always. That is me. But if it's not an insult to the Trinity, and if it is by any stretch of the imagination, demonic or any type of malevolent entity, you're going to have an indicator far more convincing than 3 knocks.
Yeah, you need a lot more than just that. It's I mean, it's very maybe minuscule that's the intent, but you got to have a lot more than just knocks to be saying that you got something demonic going on. I mean, that's just like, the candle being thrown off the mantle or whatever. You need more than just that to say it's demonic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, from Tracy, are there good and bad spirits? Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. There's definitely good spirits out there. There's bad. I mean, we've experienced both. So very, very sweet, gentle, caring spirits, and others that are just all kinds of nasty.
Assholes.
Assholes. They're not demonic. They were once living human beings, but we've talked about it before on this channel. They were an asshole in life, now they're an asshole in death. So, that's the way it goes sometimes.
And odds are they'll be an asshole in their next life.
Right.
Yep.
It is what it is.
So let me grab this one real quick. But okay, I'm going to paste that down there, but I got to scroll. So from Betty Lange, how much research do you do before you go to the place?
We do.
Yeah, and there's a reason why Vanessa does none and why we do as much as we possibly can. So, I mean, Vanessa being a medium and a remote viewer, she doesn't want all that because she wants to be able to get her impressions and then have later on the real history and background, be able to validate what she's picked up on. That's not our role.
Yeah.
I try to do as much research in reading and looking up the history and all that, because as a paranormal investigator, I want to use that information as a trigger object. So
I also want to know because I want to get evidence, not just, to put out there, but confirmation, because you never know how long some of these venues are going to be around.
Yeah. Well, and also I think it helps, like I said, at least from our perspective, that a little bit about something about these spirits going in, because you're trying to interact with them, get them to talk with you a little bit, kind of build up a bit of a rapport, and to go in cold like that. Just think of like you're at a dinner party. How much easier is it to strike up a conversation with somebody that maybe a piece of information or two about than it is somebody just cold turkey standing there? You could try the hey, how are you, with that person that you know nothing about, but that other person that a couple of pieces of information about, you say, sure, you do the hey, how you doing? Hey, I heard that you do such and such a thing, like you like to fly drones. Boom, now the person's going to start talking to you about drones. Easy conversation starter. Where the other one, you're going to have to start to, try to, find some things. So, example I use all the time, being on a World War II aircraft in an old hangar. Nothing going on, trying to get an EVP session going and all that stuff. And all of a sudden, I mentioned that I had once, been in the Air Force for 6 years. That I knew that came out of the old Army Air Corps. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 we're getting activity. So it's just having that bit of information to build that rapport. I think goes a long ways in an investigation. But again, with Vanessa, it's a different situation.
Yeah. Best example, Saturday. NP Paranormal was doing a live investigation in Sheffield. They messaged me 2 days before and said, hey, we're going to be investigating. They never tell me where. And that's our agreement. Don't tell me where. I hop on Livestream in their live feed on Facebook when they're starting. They don't say where they are. You can go back and look through the video, and immediately I've got some dude screaming in my head, that he died at the West End, and he keeps screaming West End. I had no way of knowing that in the building that Dave and Darren and Abby and Laura were in was 500 yards from West End.
Oh, wow.
No way of knowing. So, I mean, if I had for me, with the way I do things, if I had known where they were, I could have looked that up and I could have given that reading and it wouldn't have meant shit.
Right.
But it
Well, yeah.
validated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
validated their location.
You sound like a demon.
that happens when I start talking over her. It feeds back a little bit.
So you sound like a demon.
Yeah, because we've had that before when we've contacted you. A good example is over here at Rose Hill, where it kind of helps us to know that, okay, Vanessa's on our game right now. So, we actually have a video of it where we were out here at Rose Hill. Vanessa, I think you were overseas at the time. I think you were in Ireland. We were thinking about you because we're trying to figure out what the heck's going on there at these graves. That we were both feeling stuff more Shana, especially around this one particular area.
I was driving home from Virginia.
Was it Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
Yes.
maybe it was that. You're nowhere near us, but I just threw at you, hey Vanessa, we have something going on here. What can you tell us? And just immediately you just described the family. Boom. And we told you nothing. You had no idea where we were at. And just boom, you immediately described the family. So it's like, all right, Vanessa's connected. And then all the information that you gave us after that, we were very comfortable with saying that this is reliable information because we knew you were on it because you picked up exactly on the family.
Yeah. And it's just, I love the fact that y'all research because you go in knowing things. And when you do call me and I'm nowhere near it and I don't know where you are and I give you information, right off the bat whether or not I'm full of shit.
Right. Exactly.
So I think you can't have just one and you can't have just the other.
Right.
The two married together work the best.
They complement each other very, very well.
Yes.
There's a $5 super chat from Tom McNicholas. He says, happy Tuesday. Thank you very much, Tom. Absolutely appreciate that. All right. So from Robert, is there any truth to using a flashlight to communicate? What do you think, Shana? Flashlights to communicate? They go on, they go off. They're kind of loosened on the end there.
I always debunk it every single time it happens. Only one time did someone turn a flashlight on, and I was like, during the investigation, we'd done it the way that everybody does it. I'm like, let's get that thing back on there and let's make them work for it. And they turned it on, and it was off. And when I say off, I mean I screwed that thing back on and it was off. The only way to turn it on was to flip the switch. So
wow,
that's the only one I got.
Yeah,
Other than that,
yeah, that makes that's a lot more reliable. Absolutely, because the other way, it's a loose connection. It's gonna dim in, dim out. The only time in that situation that I've been able to say, okay, that might be something, was we got a loud as a bell, clear EVP at the exact same time that we were, I was saying, hey, we could be friends, that sort of thing. Just doing introductions, and got a very clear woman's voice that said, I guess. At the same time, another one of us was asking if, for the light to go on or off. And that was probably the only case where I would say that was something. All the other times, and I've been on those investigations. I'm good friends with some of those people who do that method, but it's so many false positives on that. It's not reliable. So
now, since you guys use flashlights a lot, we had something strange happen when we were in the cemetery in Jersey, when we were looking for Jennifer Schweigert's burial place. Then when we were there filming the Cropsey documentary, we had big mag lights, and I've not used a flashlight before. I've lost power during a storm, and I've had to go look for shit. So I know what they do. I know how they work. What was so bizarre about these is they formed parts, and there was a flashlight, but it didn't matter. And it was Mike, when it looks red, the the video, you know.
Yeah.
I guess it was not night vision, but something else.
The full spectrum.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were displaying the flashlights on the ground, on the trees, on the tombstones, and they would form these red hearts. And it didn't make any sense. I've never seen one do that.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah, and I've got video of it.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily you trying to communicate with it. It's just a phenomenon that's happening with the flashlights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, she played hide and seek with us there. She threw little stones and she tried to get us, she had us running there for 4 hours before we found her.
Okay.
You know, so I'm not going to say it was her. I don't know. But I had never seen one do that before. And I was wondering, had y'all had anything like that happen?
Not like that. No, I mean, I've had some weird things happen with flashlights on investigations, but not like that. Yeah.
It was freaky.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
This one is from Katie, and I guess Robert was also asking the same question. What do you think shadow people are? Well, we have an entire playlist on the Haunted Road Media channel about shadow people. Yeah, that's kind of my domain here because I've had a lot of shadow people experiences. So, and I do a presentation on that when I speak at conferences. So, and I'm currently writing a book about shadow people. So, so that'll be coming out later this year. So, shadow people, when you cut, because the question is, what are they? So, personally, I think most shadow people are interdimensional beings. So there's a lot of different types. I mean, that's like an entire video all in of itself, which we do, like I said, have here on Haunted Road Media. You know, between the full body shadow person, that was my first experience with a shadow person, was a full humanoid figure that actually interacted with me. Came up to me when I was in bed. I was a child, crossed my arms across my body, and then it ran off down the hall. There was no sleep paralysis involved in this, so we won't even go there. I know the difference between sleep paralysis and experiencing a shadow person because I've had both happen, on separate occasions. So I've seen the wisp that was just kind of peeping in through the door and then take off. I've seen the wisp kind of shoot across the room and actually make a bang into a swinging metal door. This was at an old restaurant, but the door didn't move. So a lot of interesting things, and that's really the primary one where I believe that was an interdimensional being. You do hear some people talk about experiencing a loved one or somebody who has passed as a shadow and they can't quite manifest entirely. So that's that's a human spirit trying to manifest and ends up appearing as a shadow person. So I kind of, that effect is happening, but I wouldn't call that a shadow person. To me, that's a human spirit, and a shadow person is different. They just end up looking like one because they can't quite make it all the way for some reason. We don't necessarily know why.
Is there a different feeling to it, Mike?
I'm not sure on that because I haven't experienced that type of shadow like that where it's a human person, or at least not any that I've believed that's actually been human. I know Rob Guttrow, I can't remember if his grandmother or his mother, appeared to him, and that's how she appeared, and he felt her energy, but it was just coming across as a shadow. So I would have to say yes, just based on his account, that it does feel different. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So a lot of different types. I highly encourage you guys to go check out the Shadow Person playlist. The very first one on that is True Shadow People Stories, which goes into a lot of different accounts that I've experienced, and actually Shana and I've experienced. There's a fantastic video clip of a shadow person that we encountered at the Campsville Grade School. So, and it's plain as day right there in the video. So,
they're wanting to know, are left-handed people evil?
I saw that. I mean, it's way down on the list. I hadn't gotten there yet. There's so many questions in this list.
I'm kind of mean, and I'm right-handed.
Yeah.
I'm straight up a bitch, total righty.
Yeah. So I guess who was it that threw it in there? Was it Dustin or something? Any truth to where was it? I don't know. I pasted it in here. So the whole thing with that, no, I mean that was religion screwing around with people.
Shocker.
Yeah, shocker
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Religious zealots within, unfortunately, I have to say, within the Catholic community, they're the ones that came up with that crap.
Well, I mean, you can really, if you go back through history, you can really kind of chalk up a lot of this verbiage that's used to fear. It's
fear mongering. Yeah.
Not of magic or ghost or anything like that. It's fear of a different idea. You know, just like if you throw a woman into the water with stones wrapped around her, and she drowns, well, then she wasn't a witch. Okay, well, you fucking killed her.
Right.
Okay, so I mean, it's a lose-lose situation. It's those type of things. So when I still get shocked when I hear people use in shows on TV words as if they're truth, as if it is just this is the gospel right here, when it's a fucking made up word.
Right.
It's a made up word that means nothing.
Yeah, and I think you have to be careful about anything in this field saying that this is the gospel truth. You know, we were just talking about shadow people, and I've seen interviews with people that have said, shadow people are more evil than anything else that's evil, and it's like, no, I think shadow people have their own personalities. Some are evil, and some are just fine.
I've encountered more evil from living, breathing human beings than I ever have anything in the paranormal.
Yep.
And people that know my Virginia experience really need to digest what I just said.
Yep. Absolutely. Period. Absolutely. Your people barn?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I think that people that I've come into contact are worse than that, how fucked up are we?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So.
All right. So from Robert, what are your thoughts on black-eyed children? What do you think they are? Another one that I believe is a interdimensional being. We're still, trying to figure out exactly what they are. They have those weird characteristics that they're very monotone. They of course appear as children, but very, very creepy. They tend to dress in this drab wear clothes that just doesn't fit on them correctly, and they're always trying to get in to wherever it is. Just let us in. You want to let us in. And the people that report these experiences are drawn to let them in, but they also have like an alarm going off in the back of their head, like don't do this, don't do this. But they're still drawn to try to let them in. So very weird, crazy interactions that people have had with these things. A lot of people have been reporting them over the last, of course you hear more of these accounts over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And I think that's just because more people are starting to come forward with their stories. The oldest account that I remember seeing was probably from like 50 or 60 years ago, but far fewer accounts back then, because you start talking about stuff like that back then, they're going to lock you up in the loony bin. So, but yeah.
Makes you wonder if it's some type of mutation.
It's really strange. I've heard of ones with yellow eyes now, and so, I'm a little hesitant there. There's because some people may be starting to get a little creative with this, in creating their own variants, just to tell a story. But I mean, there could be some legit sightings of these different types of eyes. But the ones with the black eyes are the ones that tend to get reported a lot, and a lot is it's very creepy. Yeah, I mean, maybe it is a mutation, but I tend to think they're interdimensional.
That is kind of the sucky thing, is you've got to weed through the bullshit to get to the true story.
Yep.
And there's an awful lot of bullshit in the world today.
There's a lot of bullshit. Yeah. You got to wear waders.
Yep.
You got to wear waders. Okay.
Yeah. Our friend Christina George has a interesting black-eyed children story that's different than a lot of other ones. So, and we've known her for a while. So, to hear like a different variant on that, because a lot of them tend to sound the same, and maybe they are. Maybe they're all telling the truth, and they just all happen to be the same. But, the ones that are a little bit different are like, okay, those get me a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah.
Because not everybody acts the same. So,
Exactly. There has to be some variation.
Right.
And believable variation. You know, a lot of people, when they're trying to tell these stories and it's obviously made up, there's telltale signs. There's ways that they give themselves.
Yeah.
It's just have to wade through it.
Yep, exactly. From Betty Lange. You might like this one. What do you feel about a person or persons who want in court spirits to live with them? Well, there was that woman who married the 300-year-old pirate.
I hear it.
They're separated now.
I hear it didn't
right,
work
they got
out.
divorced. Yeah, they got divorced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, not necessarily that. You know, I'm trying to marry a pirate ghost, but just you know, somebody who wants a ghost to live with them, come haunt me. You know, that sort of thing. I mean, I think be careful what you wish for.
I think they've never experienced a true haunting.
Yeah. I mean, what about you? No. You've had stuff follow you home.
Yeah, I didn't ask it to, and I mean, there are some times, like if I knew exactly what I was dealing with and it followed the rules, I would love for Byron to come see me. I would love if Rita visited me often. If I knew exactly what I was dealing with and could keep control of the situation and they followed the rules, like, you know, I can see you, Mike can see you, please do not interact with my children or let them see you. If it was a controlled environment, then I would not have a problem with it. But this is not a very stable environment that we're dealing with. So because of that, I would say no. I will come see you. You don't come see me. So I had, you know.
I mean, people don't even follow the rules when they're living and breathing.
No, no.
Right. Yeah. Now you don't even have a body, so you can really break the rules now.
Exactly right. I mean, I have one that walks back and forth in front of my shower. Not all the time, but quite a bit when I'm in there. Has not moved the shower curtain yet. I'm hoping it knows, but it's not, you know who, he who shall not be named.
Right.
But so far so good. But none, aside from my grandmother, have been invited in. But yet here they are. Not something I would choose.
Right.
Right. So we did have a follow-up to the black-eyed children from Tammy Heitzman. So what happens if you let black-eyed children in? So there's one account that I've heard of letting in a black-eyed child. It wasn't to a house. And that's not to say that nobody has ever let one in. I mean, maybe something nefarious happens to them and we just don't know that it was a black-eyed child that, you know, got to them. But the one that I have heard of was it was actually in a car, and the child let the black-eyed child in because the mother went into the store to grab something real quick and came back, and there was this other kid sitting in the car. It had the black eyes and all that stuff. So what I heard from that was the follow-up on that was a car accident. There was a car accident that followed. So. Yeah, they did get the black-eyed child out of the car, but in doing so, yeah, there was a car accident that followed. So
I've never dealt with those, but so do they not come across as having black eyes the whole time to kind of reel you in, or do they always have? They
always have the black eyes, and they just they will like appear out of nowhere, and then when they like decide to not let them in, they will just disappear like that. Like they'll kind of like turn for a second, like, because you know the person's like still debating, should I let this kid in, should I let this kid in, and then as they're kind of like, okay, I'm not letting them in, and kind of relax a little bit and their eyes divert, then all of a sudden the kid's gone and they're like, where the hell did the kid go? And they're like looking around the neighborhood, gone.
I mean, I can understand a kid, you know, but being confused, but it's like if you have to think about letting a kid in that has no whites in their eyes.
Yeah,
what is wrong with you?
That's a creepy thing about it is, yeah, they have no whites in their eyes, so that's what's creeping you out. That's part of the alarm that's going off in your head. But there is something in the way that they are talking that they were just, or maybe it's some ability that they have. Some telekinesis or something that's just
glamour.
like drawing you in. Yeah, a glamour. Yeah, that's like a vampire glamour. Yeah.
Yeah, this has a very vampiric quality to it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm wondering mutation. That's why I'm wondering mutation.
Yeah,
so,
could be.
And I don't know. I've never seen one.
Yeah,
I've never seen one either. But
I love kids, but like if I'm looking at one and it doesn't have any whites and doesn't look like a normal child, then I'm sorry. Get the hell away from me.
I immediately go back to that movie from the 80s or 90s. Do you remember all the kids in that little bitty small town and they all had those eyes?
What was the name of that? I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe freaked me out.
It was a remake. The one in the 80s was a remake of one that was.
But the little leader girl of it with the little blonde hair with those eyes looked just like my mother as a child.
Oh wow!
Identical to my mother, and that was just freaky because my mom's like I said, 7th daughter and the 13th child. You're a little witchy family, and it used to freak the fuck out of me. True story. True story.
Cool. Let's see.
Village of the Damned.
Yeah.
Yes. Village of the Damned. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody else put it in there.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Whoever put that in there. Yeah. Oh, there's a few people. The Haglin, Betty. Yeah. Bill. Thank you. Lisa. Yep. Betty's asking, Vanessa, how old were you when you started to be public and open about your abilities?
Boy. Okay. Started, first when I was young, up until the age of 13 or 14. Shut that shit down. And when my son was about 2, so I was 32, was when I started to come out of that shell again and started to go to retreats and learn more about myself and how to control things. Because it was dangerous when I was young. I was dangerous, for lack of a better way to put it.
Okay.
And about 32. So that's when I started. And I'll be 47 next month. So 15 years, give or take. Okay. But really only real public.
Wow, I've known you for more than half of that now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, right? But really only really public the last 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Really public.
Yeah, because you did like a little bit of stuff with us during the day, because we would do that stuff at opera. But that was really about it. And you did like a lot of private stuff for us. But really, it's been, I guess, maybe since just before the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just kind of exploded. It was weird. Mm-hmm. So it's, it's been good, but it was really weird to go from being so unbelievably private about it to people knowing what I do in other countries.
Yeah.
That's a really weird feeling. I'm still not totally comfortable with that.
So Sean Gilmore says, Mike, you should go check out Monroe House. Would love your take on it. Yeah, I have to go check that out. It's Hartford City, Indiana. It's where the speakeasy and the jail is. We've been there. It was actually right across the street. You could see the Monroe House from the jail.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Move the table on us. Okay, from Spooky. For all three, do you think it's possible to see the image of someone who has astral projected into your space? I had an experience a few nights ago, and I saw somebody, but they weren't dead. Yeah. Interesting.
I've done it.
Have you?
Yeah.
You've astral projected and they saw you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I haven't. Not to my knowledge.
But have you seen somebody that you know wasn't deceased?
Right. That was the question. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm asking Shana. Have you seen someone
okay.
That I know wasn't?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Nope. It's all people that have already, they're already gone.
I will say this because I've done it both ways. It's hard to know when you're seeing someone that you know isn't deceased, is that really an astral projection or is that a premonition?
Right.
So
Yeah.
if they see me, I know it's astral projection. If I see them, I'm still unclear if they're projecting or if it's premonition on my side.
You never know. Maybe you astral projected to me when you were little.
Could have been.
I bring this up because I did have a moment. I was in my parents' bed. I had apparently had a bad dream the night before, and I woke up, and I'm looking up toward, it was my parents' closet area, which was off to the left, and I saw kind of hovering there an image of a girl, probably no older than I was at the time, and it ended up fading away, and my mom eventually woke up and I told her about it. Of course, being a little kid at the time, my question to her was, do you think that's the girl I'm going to marry?
Aww.
But I mean, there was no way for me to know, okay, was that the image of, okay, Shana or some other girl? I don't know. Was it a ghost? Was it an apparition? Was it just me hallucinating coming out of, a dream state? I don't know. I was young. I was really little.
I really do tend to think that things like that happen and stick with us for a reason. We don't remember every odd little moment of our lives that don't have meaning. So for you to not only remember that, but apply it to today tells me that it had significance.
Well, it was certainly memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure many things were from your childhood, but that's very specific.
Okay. What is it? Tom McNicholas saying, the last time I astral projected, I had too many beans. I don't even want to know.
What are you going to do?
Wow. Wow. Okay. I don't even want to know. That was a good question, Don. Thank you for that one. Should we even answer this one?
Which one?
Well, we briefly brought it up. I'm just going to say, well, we can talk about it. We can from not the perspective that this is written, but from another one. So it's from Dustin Samario, Is Ghost Sex Real? And it's not from the perspective of the woman who thought that she married a pirate and all that stuff. And there was a show years ago that came out where there were all these women coming out saying they'd married a ghost or having sex with ghosts and stuff like that. But, I mean, you have incubus and succubus cases.
Yes. The entity being the most famous
entity,
one.
Yes. Yep. And so, I mean, those things happen, and that's violence, of course. But so that happens.
Yes, and let's. Okay, can't believe I'm going to go here. Okay. All right. So yes, you have incubus and you have succubus, and yes, that can be what, according to that movie and according to accounts, a sexual act. Okay. And that you can feel and everything else, and you're awake during it. That having been said, you can also have a situation where you can be attacked by a spirit in your dreams, and it be just as violent, just as horrific, and you feel just as violated, but it didn't happen in a waking state. And I mean, I know that to be true. So it isn't all black and white. It isn't very cut and dried. There are many, many, many shades of gray in those areas. But yes, it does exist where you can be offended by something that you cannot see. Not in the same way that I could see Mike and Shauna sitting there. Did that answer that pretty okay?
I think it did. B3 Airspace is also chiming in saying the entity was real. I mean, yeah, the movie The Entity was based off of a real case. And comparing that to, some of these movies today, there was a lot more of the truth ingrained in that movie of what really happened than, say, like The Conjuring. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Of course, there were parts that were Hollywoodized and all that, but there was a lot more truth in that than some of these others.
Yes.
From Discord threads, have you ever gone to Whispers, Indiana? I have not. I'm not sure what's going on there. From Sharon Lane, what do you think of the source is of loud metallic crashes? Given my Johnny V's experience, that was interdimensional. So I think with that particular one, and this is very specific, that crashing of the door happened in his dimension, its dimension, whatever you want to call it, and I heard that reverberation cross over into mine. You do hear about like these phantom explosions and things like that happen. I've witnessed them before, and it does make you wonder, because they seem to have like no physical source. You hear this explosion out of nowhere, and you're looking, and it's like you swear to God the electric transformer just blew up, But then you're looking, it's like no lights are out, there's no smoke, there's nothing happened, and actually that explosion came from a little bit lower, not up there where the transformer is. So what the hell,
This might be reaching, but Mike, you've talked about this a lot, about the layers of time.
Yeah.
And the different dimensions, and how they might be layered like lasagna. You never know. And just, it makes one wonder, and I'm just jumping down that rabbit hole here. It makes one wonder that if they're almost like tectonic plates, like we have in the earth, and how, they have to move a certain way, and maybe something disrupts that and causes a friction in those, and maybe you get that sound. It's a total guess.
Yeah, it very well could be. It could be that bleeding over of different times, if you believe in like that stacked time theory like that. And Einstein had a theory similar to that all these things are not.
We share a birthday.
Yeah, you do. That time is ever present. It doesn't work in like a river of time that we are experiencing it. That it's a constant. So everything that is happening now, the things that happened then are happening now. The things of the future are happening now. If you get your head around it, but then maybe some of these things that we're experiencing, whether they're ghosts or phantom explosions or what have you, that maybe that we're just experiencing something from another point in time.
I agree. I really do. It's like when I try to explain to people about, they're wondering why their loved ones haven't contacted them, or why does this situation happen at this time, and then it'll be years before another paranormal experience happens. Time is our thing.
Yeah.
That's a living person thing. It simply doesn't exist otherwise.
Yeah,
we're the only ones that felt like we had to distinguish a time frame.
Yeah, it's the way we've described our experience here on Earth. It's the dimension that we are living in. It's a construct that we created to just describe our experience. And so, anything that, and I have a couple of videos on this, but in order to, I guess, to see time as that constant thing, you'd have to be in the fifth dimension. The movie Interstellar tries to show this and tries to describe that, like toward the end of the movie when Cooper's in what they call the Tesseract, and that's that. It's a three-dimensional representation of time. So they try to take like a 3D object and try to make another 3D object on top of it. And it's kind of like the only way our human minds right now can kind of get around that. How do you make time into 3 dimensions? Well, it's not 3 dimensions, but it's the only way we can kind of perceive it at this point. So it's really interesting. We'll take one more. We said that we were going to do an extended episode here, and we're already an hour and a half in. So we'll take one more and then get wrapping it up here. So this is from Katie. If you're not gifted, how can you figure out what a spirit wants or communicate with them?
Shana?
I think that we all have the abilities to communicate and to perceive. I think some people, it could be just a programming thing. You could be conditioned to not be open to it at a young age, and you just haven't quite figured it out yet that, you know, it's okay for me to experiment and try to open my, especially if you want to. You know, if you want to be open to it, then what are you waiting for? You know, you may think that there's something holding you back. It's your mind is holding you back. I think that we all have it. So, you know, do whatever you got to do. You know, if you want to research, you know, different ways, to learn how to meditate, learn how to, you know, open yourself up to it, because that's really all it is. You just have to be open. You have to be open to it. You think you are, but there's still something subconsciously holding you back. So
what she said.
I like that. That's awesome. All right. I think that was a good one to end off on. So very, very cool. Okay. So really appreciate you guys hanging out with us for an extended Edge of the Rabbit Hole. We're not doing Inside the Upside Down tonight. We just let this be our 10,000 subscriber episode. So remember, on any other social media platform, go ahead and let us know that you want to be entered into that. Of course, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Be a subscriber for that. Your choice of Haunted Road Media shirt, your choice of Haunted Road Media hat, your choice of Haunted Road Media book, Ghosty, and the coffee. Haunted Road Roast. It helps you hunt ghosts. So, yeah. Here's how to order. So, so let's get to so just go ahead and put that in. We will announce the winner next week. We'll draw the names out of the hat. So just whether it's the Facebook page, the website, hauntedroadmedia.com, Twitter, Instagram, however you want to contact us, just let us know, and I'll put a post out there too on social media, and just so you guys can respond to that, or just email us, or however you want to do it.
Just not on YouTube.
Yeah, you can't just do it here. It's just the terms and conditions of YouTube, and how you can sort of kind of run contests, but not. It's weird. So we're just trying to play it safe. All right, so let's get to the super chat superstars.
Had quite a few.
Yep. If this would scroll down correctly. So we had Dustin Samario, Rolf Pfeiffer Mueller, Spooky, that is Dawn, Joe Chandler, Andrew Cox, and Tom McNicholas. Thank you all very, very much for your super chats. Absolutely appreciate that. I did see a comment here about another show. We usually have Inside the Upside Down directly after Edge of the Rabbit Hole. But what we decided to do for tonight, so tonight's working a little bit differently. There is no Inside the Upside Down tonight. We had our guest for tonight come down ill. We've rescheduled him for March, and since it was our 10,000 subscriber episode, what we decided to do instead of that, because we had a subject lined up for Inside the Upside Down based on our guest, that we're going to follow up with some similar type of stories and information and stuff like that. So we had to chuck that, and instead of coming up with a whole nother topic and all that, let's do an extended episode, celebrate 10,000 subscribers, and we'll just answer whatever you guys want to talk about. So that was the idea for tonight. So there's no Inside the Upside Down tonight. That'll come back regular time next week, every Tuesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, 8:30 p.m. Central for Edge of the Rabbit Hole, and then directly after is Inside the Upside Down. So we'll resume regular schedule next week. So, all right. That's your public service announcement for tonight. So, again, thank you, Super Chat Superstars. Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons. We have Tom McNicholas, B3 Aerospace, Zippy Davis, Pamela Queen, Joe Chandler, and Andrew Cox. Thank you all very much for being Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons. The Q&A is posted right now out there. I know we just did a Q&A here, but the Patreon Q&A is up. So go ahead, add your questions to that, and we'll go ahead and get to those. We'll probably answer them this weekend. We'll record a video this weekend and post that. So is there another $5 super chat sitting here from Tom McNicholas? Yeah, there is. He says, happy 10,000. So thank you, Tom.
Shout outs now.
Yeah, we got to do the shout outs. I know. I'm getting there.
I think you were getting ready to wrap it up without it. Kind of sounds like.
I wasn't.
Can't do
really.
that.
No.
Yeah, I had that kind of finalized. So, hey, thanks, everybody. But, peace out. Yeah, I can't do that.
No. We have to do the shout outs. I'm getting there. I was just letting everybody know, okay,
Yes.
we've got the Patreon, we got the super chat superstars, got all that stuff going on. We appreciate it. Yep. So, first of all, thank you, Donald Gorton, Cheshire Cat, for Cheshire Catting the chat, feeding all those questions. I know it was a lot. I appreciate that. Since our chat Shananigator was here with us on the show tonight. And there were some questions that we couldn't get to, and I do apologize. But, it was a long show. You guys kept feeding them, which was awesome. We do appreciate all those questions. So, all right, let's get to, you know what? Candy Oring showed me a trick. She sent me a couple of screenshots. There's a way. Here we go. Participants.
Yeah.
Boom. And now just boom, 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 boom.
All right.
There we go. So, so I want to thank Andrew Cox for being here tonight. Bree Jones, thank you very much. There's B3 Airspace. Betty Lange, thanks for all the questions tonight. Charlotte Kane, thank you for your questions as well. Chelsea Ponzo, thank you very much tonight. There's David Buchholz, thanks for joining us tonight. Debbie 08, thank you. And I think this is actually showing the lurkers too, if I'm not mistaken. There's Donna, thank you, Donna. Dustin Samario, thank you for joining us tonight. Fran Molino, thank you very much. Greg Rinkin, thank you for joining us again as well. Or maybe it's just the people that threw down in the chat. I don't know. Jin R.R. Rogue 7, thanks for joining us again tonight. There's Jill Nipchinsky, thanks for joining us tonight, Jill. Katie Palmer, thank you for all your questions tonight. Little Dorit Lisa, thanks for joining us again. Luli Tubey, thanks for hanging out tonight. Robert Hanna, thank you as well. There's Sharon Lane, thank you as always. Sean Gilmore, yeah, we'll have to set something up. Maybe we'll all go out to the Monroe House together. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I want to go.
Well, you should come. Come on now. Come on down.
Calm down now.
There's Spooky Dawn. Thank you very much for welcome back. There's Tammy Heitzman. Thank you as well. The Hagelin, thanks for joining us tonight. Tom McNicholas, of course. Tim Schoen, thanks for joining and always chiming in. And Tracy Christian. And there was a Carrie Parrish sighting earlier on. So, Carrie, if you're still out there, good to have you back. So, I guess that is how that works. All right. And thank you, Candy, for showing me that wherever you are this evening. So, all right, everybody. Thank you very much again for the 10,000 subscribers. We are really happy to hit that mark. Now it's on to 100,000 and then 1 million.
Yeah. Whip that shit out there, y'all.
That's right. That's right. Share it all. Just share it all out there.
Yep.
Tammy's laughing at me at Carrie Parrish sighting. Well, yeah. It's true. Early on. So next Tuesday we have Ben Radford is on. So it'll be an interesting show because Ben is a skeptic.
Ooh.
Yay!
Ben is a skeptic, so it's going to be a really different conversation, and it'll be interesting. I mean, he's a skeptic, but he also does paranormal investigations from a skeptic's point of view. So I was on Justin Brown's show with him a few weeks back, and so it was like, we got to continue this conversation. So I invited him on the rabbit hole, so it'll be pretty cool.
I'm, definitely not a skeptic to the paranormal, but I am skeptic to a lot of the methods out there, especially if I can debunk them. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it because I can debunk it. But yeah, be interesting.
Mm-hmm. It will be. It will be. Oh, and for those of you out there a little bit new to us, there is also the Haunted Road Media Paracon coming up June 1st. So please go to hauntedroadmedia.com. Just scroll down a little bit. You'll see all the information there for the Paracon. And the hotels, now the information for the hotels is posted. Thanks, Bonnie Halpern, for that. So you get all the information for that. Come on out. Join us. It's a great time.
Time.
Absolutely fantastic. So, all right, Tamara Heitzman saying, I love skepticism, keeps us focused and grounded. So,
yep. Yes.
Yep. So, all right, everybody, you have a great night, and we will see you next week. Till next time.